All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to talk about a wild one, Terra Luna Classic, or LUNC. It's a crypto with one of the most explosive, dramatic histories you'll ever see, and yet it has a community that just refuses to give up on it. I mean, it's a question that sounds crazy, right? But believe it or not, this is the question that keeps a whole global community of believers hooked. It is the absolute heart of the LUNC story. So, let's really get into it. We're going to unpack the argument for what some people are calling a sleeping giant. We'll look at the logic, the data, and the powerful sense of belief that's fueling this whole potential comeback story.
But first, before we get to the why, we really got to understand the why not. We have to look at why almost everyone in the crypto world just wrote this project off as dead and buried after that historic collapse back in 2022. The biggest problem, the anchor that's just weighing this whole thing down, comes down to one number: 6.4 trillion. That's the circulating supply, and that number is, well, it's insane. It's a direct result of that whole depegging disaster that sent the old ecosystem into a hyperinflationary death spiral.
And that one giant number, it creates this whole cascade of other problems. You have this ocean of tokens, right? And that keeps the price stuck at fractions of a penny, it kills the daily trading volume, and it even puts the coin at risk of getting kicked off major exchanges, which has already happened in some places. Okay, so if this massive supply is the big problem, then the community's solution is, well, it's pretty straightforward, at least on paper. They want to make the tokens scarce again. And the way they plan to do that is through something called a token burn. So what is a token burn? Well, think of it kind of like a company buying back its own stock. When these coins get burned, they're literally sent to a wallet that no one can ever access again. They're just gone. Poof. Removed from circulation forever. The whole idea is, if you reduce the supply, the value of what's left should, in theory, go up. And look, this isn't just wishful thinking for the believers. They point to real data. There's this super interesting recurring pattern of burns coming straight from Binance, the biggest crypto exchange in the world. As you can see here, month after month, the same exact amount, $9.94. The community looks at this and they don't see a coincidence. They see a plan. And it's not just these smaller, consistent burns either. I mean, this number really shows you the scale we're talking about sometimes. Binance has also done these huge one-off burn events. In just a single batch, the exchange torched over 650 million LUNC tokens. Now, is that a lot compared to 6.4 trillion? Not really, but it's a real dent. It shows intent. But, okay, let's move beyond the nuts and bolts of token burns for a second. The real bull case for LUNC is built on something you can't really put on a spreadsheet. It's all about its incredibly passionate, and I mean incredibly resilient community. And this quote just nails the whole vibe. The argument, in a nutshell, is that in the crazy world of crypto, sometimes a strong, loud community can just will value into existence, defying all the normal financial rules. And this isn't just a feeling. You can actually see it in the data. You go on a platform like CoinMarketCap where people vote on how they feel about a coin, and it's just, wow, a staggering 86% of the people talking about LUNC are still bullish on its future. That's despite everything that's happened. And then, to add a little more fuel to that fire, you've got big-time players getting involved. When a crypto whale, someone like Tron's founder, Justin Sun, is reportedly holding the token in his public wallet, well, that gets people talking. It adds another layer of what if, and it makes the small investors feel like maybe they're onto something big.
So, what does this all add up to? What's the real appeal of LUNC right now? Look, it's not about what it can do today. It's about that absolutely massive, high-risk, high-reward potential. Let's be real, it's basically a lottery ticket.
And it's the math, even though it's a total long shot. I mean, a massive one. That's what pulls people in. It's that what-if question that's powering this entire movement. So check this out, this is the key, because you can buy in for so cheap. A recovery to just 10 cents, which is still way below its old all-time high, could lead to life-changing money. We're talking about a tiny, maybe $20 bet that could, in theory, turn into tens of thousands of dollars. You can see why that's so tempting. So at the end of the day, you're left with two totally opposite ways of looking at this thing. On one hand, you've got the bears saying it's a dead project, crushed under an impossible supply. And on the other, you have the bulls who see a high-reward bet, fueled by token burns and a community that just will not quit.
And that's what the whole Terra Luna Classic story really comes down to. It forces you to ask a really fundamental question about crypto. What's more powerful, the hard numbers and the tech, or just pure raw faith? For LUNC, that story is still playing out. And believe me, it's one you're going to want to keep an eye on.